listen up, listen carefully. I've been to one of their meetings. It was above a convenience store. And they sat quietly for hours. I followed. I sure as hell want to tell you everything, but I ain't got a whole lot to go on. Who do you think that is there?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're here a week later.
Yep.
Is it exactly 1 week? I think it is. Something like that. But
I think it's 6 days. It's been
okay. So we're doing a little better than anticipated. All right. Yeah. So 1 week after our previous recording session, because life happens. Yeah. So how you been this past week?
I've been all right. I've been watching like the Twin Peaks episodes. Obviously, I've been watching through the Oscar nominees for this year.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I'm a little behind, but
I'd recommend Drive My Car and Coda, and would recommend against Don't Look Up because it's a giant piece of shit.
Oh, what? You didn't like Don't Look Up? No.
I fucking hate it. That
You hated
movie's
it?
so shit.
Sucks
I
shit.
hated it. Oh my god.
Oh, that's another podcast. I liked it okay. What didn't you like about it?
It's trying to be like a dark comedy and a drama, right? And I don't think it's very funny, and I don't think it's a very good drama.
I wasn't like laughing out loud per se, but it was like the kind of comedy that is just more like, I don't know. It was like that watching a car crash happen in front of you type of comedy, which is like, doesn't always do it for me, to be completely honest. Like, it's definitely a kind of movie that I wouldn't normally, like on paper, I didn't expect to like it going in. I will say that.
Yeah, it thinks it's the smartest movie in the world. I think that's what really bugs me about it. It thinks it's genius.
I think it's
And
trying to do that, really. I could see how you could see it that way, how it could come across that way, though. Like, it might be the kind of thing where it just hits you one, like it hits hits some people one way and it hits other people another way. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like just indiscriminate as to how it's going to actually, like do it for you. Because I could totally see that. Honestly, like on another day, I probably could have gotten the same takeaway from it. Like,
there's like a lot of really talented actors, and most of them don't really seem like they're putting in their all. I like Jennifer Lawrence. I'll say she was good in it.
She's a really good job. Yeah, her and Leo, I thought had pretty good chemistry too. That was kind of.
I didn't think Leo was that good in this movie.
It was fun. I thought he was good. I thought it was actually really good. And I thought the two of them together, I actually thought did a really, like, they seemed like they were having fun, on screen.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio being attracted to a woman over 25 just isn't believable for me.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, I'm sure. Coda was good. I liked Coda. It's nice and chill. Nothing like, really. It's just a nice movie.
So far I've seen Dune, Don't Look Up, Coda, Drive My Car, and I'm watching King Richard today. I watched the first half hour of it last night.
Cool.
I'm liking King Richard so far. I thought Coda was pretty cute. I loved Dune.
Dune was so for me. I thought it was pretty well done though. Coda's funny because it's getting like so much attention, and I did think it was quite good, and the acting was great. Cast is great. Like, it's a great movie. It's just funny to me how, like, at the forefront it is. I also just want to comment that woman, who I should probably know the name of. There's probably things I should know. Hold on one second. Let me just look her up. So the woman from Coda, Marlee Matlin, which I had to Google, but Marlee Matlin is the mom, the deaf mom, and she is in an episode of Seinfeld that we watched last night. which was hilarious and unexpected. She's the deaf tennis ball woman that Jerry dates. You're a Seinfeld fan, right? You watch Seinfeld.
I've liked the episodes that I've seen, but I don't really know anything.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I randomly thought you were fully in depth or something with it. Anyway,
it's before my time.
There's an episode where there's this deaf tennis ball person lady that he's dating, and it's her. And also, I always recognize her in stuff because she plays a deaf woman in The West Wing. And The West Wing was like a really formative TV show for me growing up. And so, I remember it's one of those shows that I grew up with, and every time any actor from that shows up in something as you grow up, you're like, oh, that's the person from The West Wing. Yeah.
Whenever I see Kyle MacLachlan and everything, it's just, Dale Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
He's in the show.
It's impossible, yeah. I will say his new look is it's helpful in dividing him out from that. Like his kind of, his more Versace kind of older guy, like the nicer glasses. Also, I don't know what this is about, but he was on the Today Show with Kate McKinnon the other morning.
Yeah, he's doing the Tiger King show. Got it.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Kate McKinnon's funny.
No, she's wonderful. No, it's unfortunate they're making a show out of that.
I don't know.
You got to find the work where you can get it. I don't blame either one of them.
Yeah.
No, they're both. I was like, I saw them both, and I was like, what? I was like, are they doing something together? That's funny. Yeah, well, that's cool. Movies.
Yeah.
Movies are good, but you know what I like?
What?
Television.
Love television.
Television shows in particular. Television shows like there's a show called Twin Peaks. You ever heard of it?
No, I haven't heard of it.
No?
What's it about?
Gosh, I guess before your time. The old movie man made it. A movie man by the name of David Lynch made it.
Oh yeah, he did Dune.
Right, he did that Dune movie you liked so much.
Yeah, with Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, right, Timothée Chalamet. Yeah. He's great. The kids love him. The Gen Zs love him. So I guess you want to just launch right into discussing episode 2 of Twin Peaks?
Yeah. Usually, we'd have some sort of starter question before the episode discussion, but last week we went over time. So, we're just going to go straight into rewatch discussion.
Yes. Yeah, and I guess we should say... Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to
welcome to the podcast.
We're based out of the Twin Peaks Discord server, which is associated with the Twin Peaks subreddit. All unofficial, but we have a good time over in the Discord server, and we're currently doing this rewatch. And if for some reason you aren't already joining us for that, please do. I am Steve. My username is Amirite, and I'm a moderator there.
My name is Saoirse. And my name on the server is Nikki Grace, but on other places online I go by Daphnet or Blue Tomorrows.
And so we spent a lot of time talking about episode 1 last time, and our plan this time is to go through episodes 2, 3, and 4. Hopefully, so to try to get
a lot to cover,
get us caught up to the rewatch in the server, and then hopefully if all goes according to plan, maybe we can start getting some guests in next time and. Prompt them with, like you were saying. A lot to cover, like you said. But why don't we jump right in? And we've all got our notes here at the beginning of episode 2.
It was a dream. We lived inside a dream.
Episode 2, there was a big time difference in shooting this between episode 1. I think a year.
Okay.
Between this and episode 1. So everything's just a little bit different. Everyone's playing their characters a little bit different, I think for the better.
Right. Pretty typical for the kind of pilot. So yeah, so he's starting to see the production values of the show proper.
Yeah.
That's true.
And first thing we see in this episode is Cooper, right?
Yep, Cooper's hanging from the door from his gravity boots.
Yeah, just what are gravity boots?
Gravity
what
boots they're like these braces you put around your ankles. They're big, like metal things. They have padding in them, and then they have like hooks on the back, and they're basically for hooking you onto something and hanging upside down. They're like
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I've used
weird,
them.
But,
I have used gravity boots before in a video I did in my job, and I've hung from the ceiling from gravity boots. They're not the most comfortable thing in the world. Not the boots.
Yeah.
The boots are not the problem. It's the act of fully hanging upside down. It's not super fun.
What strikes me about Cooper that I kind of noticed in this opening scene is he has like so much charisma and this good dynamic, but just with a tape recorder. The role of Diane in the original series is kind of weird. It's kind of just, oh, here's a way for Cooper to say exposition to the audience without it just. But it's also like Kyle puts a lot of personality into it. It's written with a lot of personality for Cooper that there's some history between him and Diane.
Right.
And
yeah,
I don't know if I just fought it.
It informs. I mean, I think it informs like it's a good character informative moment, I guess. Like Cooper puts his all into everything. He doesn't like he doesn't go half measures with anything. It's a great device. I mean, it's like such an. I mean, yeah, the tape recorder thing is, it gets talked about a decent amount, I guess, but it's like. It's a great device for just lots of things. It's exposition, it's character development. You can do anything. If you just have like 2 minutes to just have this character go off into his tape recorder, it's like, can serve any purpose for the story. It's pretty smart.
Yeah, and right after this scene, Cooper meets Audrey, right?
Yes. Is this where he finds never mind, sorry, yes, he meets Audrey for the first time. Yeah, sorry, I'm a little turned around because this is now right the episode 2.
We're a little separated from this episode.
That's okay.
It's not
and
super recent in our memory.
he like meets up with Audrey in the next 2 episodes at the beginning too, so right, this is the first time he meets Audrey and when he's getting his freshly squeezed grapefruits.
Yes. Cooper and Audrey is a weird dynamic. I like it, but she's the whole time I'm just thinking she's too young, right? And it's kind of distracting.
How old is
some points.
Audrey supposed to be in the scene?
I believe
Audrey?
I think 18.
18. Okay.
Canonically.
Okay, not 17.
No.
I thought there was some. Is it that she? Okay. Anyway, whatever. So she's right. She's 18. And right, she's just coming on strong, and he's like playing off of that, right? Like it's just what's maybe interesting and slightly uncomfortable about the scene is that he's not really like backing down and being like, oh, this is inappropriate. You shouldn't be speaking to me in this way. I'm a officer of the law. He's just like. Going along with it. He's going with because she's, he's giving her quote unquote what she wants, or at least what she's expecting and whatnot, even though he knows kind of like what she's doing and, kind of sees through that a little bit right off the bat.
Audrey is kind of weird in the pilot. So I'd say this is kind of where we get to see the Audrey that we'll get to know for the rest of the series. And
because you were commenting that she was a little detached to the last episode.
And the thing about Audrey is she kind of always gets what she wants, right? But for some reason that's kind of like a good aspect of her. I can't really explain it. I guess just what she wants is good.
Yeah, I think Cooper recognizes that right away too, because it's like she's never she's never manipulative without cause. It's like And yeah, I think Cooper kind of I think Cooper respects that quality for sure.
I think that's kind of like why they get along. They kind of both get what they want all the time. So they're similar in that way.
Yeah, yeah. It's like he knows how to not judge that book by its cover and kind of see the cause behind some, the motivation to strike the character behind that. Yeah. Yeah, I think he sees that pretty clearly, and that's maybe why he feels comfortable sort of engaging with her on this like flirtatious level at first. It's obviously he draws some lines later on, but it's like, I think it's like it's like they can get along on a platonic level.
Yeah, they're both very much naturally curious characters.
Yeah.
And I think that was done on purpose very much.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, not to mention he probably sees that she could be an asset. I mean, she's pretty much immediately engaging with the case and, like, despite her kind of, like, using it as a tool to sort of get information out of it. Like, the act of her coming to him and trying to get information out of him, I think, is probably what he's actually really impressed by, right?
Mm-hmm. It would have been very easy to write Audrey as just the sheltered rich girl. Mm-hmm. But they don't really do that. They give her a lot of character. They give her a lot of her own style.
Well, they go the extra mile. Mm-hmm. It's like, what would a sheltered rich girl it would be aching to kind of do something with her life, mm-hmm. especially at that age. So so they talk. They make friends. They what's the end of this conversation? Whatever. I guess we don't need to go through beat by beat.
It's been a while.
Yeah. But like, so they get introduced, and we obviously see a lot more of them later. Oh, I was going to say, like, we can get into that later. I was curious if you thought there was like this was the beginning of toying with a romance idea, despite everything we kind of talked about. Now let's talk network level for a second.
Yeah, I'd say absolutely this is starting to set up the at least planned Cooper-Audrey romance.
Right.
The way they interact with each other, like, they're both naturally, like, nice people, but it's, for me at least, it's clearly flirtatious, at least on some level.
Yes. It's funny.
Maybe not even consciously, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is, totally. And it's funny to me how, like, to me, like, it's the wrong fit, right? It's like, this is just the wrong will they, won't they to have going on in the plot. And it kind of stops pretty quickly in terms of, like, in terms of the show entertaining that notion, that they could get together or this or that. And it's like, it's funny that to me, it's so off base that, like, even I think the first time I watched the show, I was like, oh, yeah, no, he's not really going for this. Like, he is playing her naivete and, is not, like, it's clearly this guy, is not interested in 18-year-old girls. Some theorists out there may say otherwise, but I'm not a subscriber to that.
Yeah, first of all, she's 18, and that's why I don't like it. But it's also, for me at least, a couple of times, at least early on, they kind of just write her as, like, a more sheltered, like, girl version of Cooper.
Right.
Where I think Cooper, a romance subplot for him would need to have someone who's, like, different than him, has a different life than him.
Yeah.
Which is why I like Annie later on.
Yeah. Yes.
And in a lot of ways, I think they're just too similar, which it would be a good thing in a real romance, but on TV, it's just not that entertaining.
They will make great friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Platonic.
We're going to talk so much about Audrey in this podcast.
Yeah.
I can tell.
She's
all right. So they have their breakfast, and then
after the breakfast, there's the James interrogation scene.
Oh, is that?
At least that's what it goes on.
Okay.
In my notes
Yeah. No, that's true. Yes, because they're back in the sheriff's station. Doc Hayward reads off his autopsy. Barely gets through it, and then they're interviewing James and his forehead. his accomplice.
Now, the great thing about this scene, or rather the terrible thing about the scene, is this is one of the only flashback sequences in the series.
Yeah.
Where we get to see Laura and James talking to each other.
Oh my gosh.
And goddamn, they have no chemistry at all.
Oh my gosh. But they think they have the most chemistry ever.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to shoot everybody watching that.
It feels so weird. It feels so weird. Because they never do it again.
They're all baby talk and like, yeah, but though that's actually, that's how they were all the time. That's the thing is like you look at Laura and the way she kind of like baby talks people, like, because she does that to like Bobby every once in a while. And she's kind of does it in some side scenes in Fire Walk with Me, when she's kind of trying to like, she puts on the right face for the right person. And so it's like to know that James, and then seeing how James is, with women across the series and how lovey-dovey he gets, it's God. It just must have been like freaking bathing in cotton candy being around those two. I hate it. I'm so glad we don't have to see it any more than this. That's the Black Lodge.
It feels weird. It's so weird. Yeah, that's the Black Lodge.
It's just when they're around. Yeah, so doomed to fail couple.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
We do get to learn a little bit about Laura in this scene, and like there's an implication from James that like she wanted to have her secrets, she liked having her secrets, and I'm glad that that's there before the weird flashback that like it's trying to say like, oh, this isn't what we see isn't the full Laura. And it's crazy that like in episode 2 they're already like setting up these themes that would be like really, really expanded on in Fire Walk with Me. And we don't, at this point, we really don't know much about Laura, but they do a lot to make her an interesting character.
Yeah. I'm trying to bring myself back to like when I first watched the show and kind of what I got. Yeah, like who did I think Laura was like 3 episodes or 2 episodes in? I mean, I guess, yeah, you kind of get it right off the bat. I mean, they just kind of, they flesh it out and they continue to build out the texture of her over time. But yeah, I think it's right off the bat, you kind of get this feeling of like, what happened. Because it is supposed to be that, it's supposed to be relatable, right? It's like you're supposed to have known a Laura Palmer.
Yeah.
Everybody's known a Laura Palmer is kind of the idea. So, right. So, I mean, I guess Cooper and Harry are just kind of making their rounds today. It's a day in the life. So now they go to talk to Pete and Josie. They get a nice hot pot of fish coffee.
Yeah, the fish oh my, okay. The fish in the percolator.
A fish in the percolator.
Can we? There's stuff before that I want to talk about, like, but now that you mentioned the fish in the percolator, that is like, it's such a great moment because it's so stupid.
Fish in the
percolator.
In the percolator.
Now, it's such a weird joke to include, and it's very much like a David Lynch joke where it's just, what the hell is this? Now, there is one thing I want to say.
Yeah.
That this piece of slander and lies that's been spread around that Catherine was the one who put the fish in the percolator. And that is not true.
Okay, then explain it.
The fish just landed in there. That's why it's funny.
From
all right?
where?
Listen.
He implies, look, Pete thinks it's Catherine. And I trust Pete.
When does he imply that?
Later in the episode. He says when they're on the bed, when they're in the bedroom, which is actually a great scene that I want to like touch on. But like when in the bedroom and he's got his boots up on the bed and he's like, and they're just chatting. And he's at some point he says like, he's like, somehow a fish made its way into my percolator. And he's like staring at her. And it's like when they're jabbing back and forth at each other, he thinks it was her.
I think that's just how Jack Nance talks, man. I don't think that's an implication.
That's big. It's totally an implication. That's a big.
Right after this, we see Catherine and Ben having their affair. So she would have had to get a fish, put it in the percolator, and then leave, right?
Yeah.
And then in that scene you're talking about, she complains like, "Why do all my clothes smell like fish?" And that's when he says, "Somehow a fish got in the percolator." So why would she make her own clothes smell like fish?
Look, I think that both can be true. Wait, maybe Pete took a fish and rubbed it all over her clothes as revenge for the fish in the percolator.
I don't think Pete would do
Yeah,
that.
I think he would. He's not in a good place with her. Like he's putting his, okay, listen, I want you to, we're talking about this conversation now because this scene is great because they're so bitter against each other, Pete and Catherine, but like I think you can tell they were like a couple that used to be in love. You know, like Pete, and later we see a lot more of that, which is I love that they do that, which is like, yeah, you can tell that Pete and Catherine used to be like madly in love and were like really good for each other, you know, and just like life has happened and Pete's still a down homey, simple guy, and Catherine's got like these big business dreams and is also kind of manipulative and shitty, but like she's also a boss and like. But yeah, they're playing it like that, and like, but then Pete is nasty in that scene, man. She's like saying stuff, and he's got the boots up on the bed, and he's like doing the oil thing, and she's like, she like snaps at one point. I think she's like, "Get your boots off the bed, you bumbling blah blah," and then he like takes the boots off like slowly, and he's like, "I didn't want to get mink oil on my bedspread." And he just like walks out of the room. Like he does not like her. He's meaner. He's mean to Catherine in a way he's not to other people. So that's all I'd say about that.
He isn't that mean to Catherine.
Not mean.
Other than like
he's salty though.
A couple instances.
He acts completely differently with her. Like that.
He's getting more and more tired of her. That's the feeling I get.
Oh, I think he's
tired
like,
of her, like
10 years deep. You know, like I think he's like been there. You know.
Yeah, I don't think she put the fish in the percolator.
I think this is a whole subplot. I think this is a whole subplot that's there in between the lines.
We need the missing pieces, deleted scenes of Catherine orchestrating the percolator.
We really do. Well, I mean, it's a great mystery of this. It's one of the great mysteries of the series, I guess.
Yeah, it's a show about mysteries.
When you boil it down, if you boil down, who put the fish in the percolator? Yeah. How are you gonna say it just fell in there? What are you talking about? From where?
That's the joke. That's David Lynch humor. All right, it just the fish just fell in there. When it hopped out of the river and went in the percolator.
Just hopped out of the river. Okay, yeah, that's pretty funny. All right, well, without coffee, they do a little interrogation. I always notice that Josie's dialogue is more great, like character choices, whether it's happening from the actress or the script, I don't know, but like the way Josie talks in like catchphrases sometimes is super cool. It's like I get the feeling that it's like something Josie has decided on as a tool to help her learn English faster. Like, it's like, oh, these are like phrases, you know, like she seems to fixate on these phrases and use them a lot. And sometimes she uses them incorrectly, which is also funny, but she most of the time uses them correctly. So she uses like something she said that stuck on my mind, you know, stuck on my mind. I feel like that's weird wording, is it not? Like,
yeah, I get what you mean.
You know what I mean. But yeah, so and then she says like we didn't have a heart to heart on it, you know, like it's like she is using these little phrases she's heard and I just think that's cool because obviously she's talking about learning English from Laura, so I imagine, you know, this at some point in her English learning process became part of how she that's just super incredible detail.
Josie is an interesting character. She's
crazy.
The thing about the whole Catherine Josie Ben Pete subplot is I like it, but also at the same time, it feels completely separated from everything else going on in the show.
Yeah.
And
it's like
it's weird
political town level of the plot, basically, which sometimes can be a very meandering, like, have a very meandering connection to like the quote unquote main plot.
I get what you mean. I did want to say, before the Josie percolator, all that scene, we do get we get two things I want to talk. First, there's Donna and James like talking about how they love each other so much, and she's like, Donna's like, oh, like when I'm around you, I don't even feel like I'm real, like it's like, honey, that's dissociation. Your friend just died. All right, you're not in love.
And James is just like this, so
yeah, James is just like that all the time.
Don't get too excited.
But then the much more important scene to Twin Peaks as a whole is when Norma and Nadine meet in the department store, which I don't know if we see that set again, but I'm glad it's here because we get to hear about her silent drape runner tech. And I love Nadine, man.
Nadine's the best.
Cotton balls.
Cotton balls.
It's weird how Norma and Nadine kind of have this silent hatred for one another, but like she still wants to brag about her cotton balls.
Yeah. You know, the Norma and Nadine thing is complicated. It's like, I do, you know, Ed and Norma, everybody loves to root for Ed and Norma, but like, I feel like there's some stuff to unpack there. It's like, this fucking guy has been pining over another woman for like, what, like 15 years or some shit? Like, how long?
Since they were in high school.
Since they were in high school, and they're just stuck in this perpetual state of like, we can't. Like, what the fuck, Ed?
Yeah, I think like the official like explanation is Ed and Norma were a couple in high school.
Right.
They had a fight. They broke up. They both rebounded to Hank and Nadine, and then they just never got back together. I feel bad for Nadine.
I really do.
That's clearly not the like real intention.
It's
but
really
I feel
fucked
so bad
up though, because it's like, it's really fucked up. There's no way to. I don't care if Nadine's slightly mentally unstable sometimes. Like, Ed, you need to make a call. Like, if that's the situation, like, Ed, are you being abused by Nadine? If so, that's a whole nother conversation. You know what I mean? But like, that is not what we are shown. So it's like, barring that happening behind the scenes or something, like, Ed's kind of being a little shitty.
Yeah, we will talk about like the secret history of Twin Peaks later, but just the whole Nadine like Ed like story, how it's told in that, I hate it. It's my least favorite part of that book because it just demonizes Nadine for everything. It retcons Nadine to be more in the wrong, which just takes away so much of her character.
That's weird.
And like it basically just say she is deeply mentally ill. I think it says she's bipolar. I think she has chronic depression.
Right.
And Ed. Well, first of all, they play it for like humor, which is like a whole other can of beans to unpack. But like Ed is just
playing it for humor is fine. Like I actually have no problem with like using I have no problem with like using disability in humor. You know, like it can be a way of having great characters. Like everybody does goofy things sometimes, you know what I mean? Like including humans who don't have any like intense disabilities or mental illnesses or whatever. Like crazy shit happens in all walks of life, right? So it's like to kind of like have Nadine, behavior be part of like some lighthearted, jokes and stuff. It's not so much that, because like what is also shown about Nadine is that she is driven. She's an extremely high functioning person. And like, actually, like this is high functioning people have these problems, high functioning, like type A, like really focused, like people who start, who are driven to start businesses, that are like, people who invent shit, like inventors. Like it makes complete sense to me that Nadine has this like super eccentric personality that borderlines on mental illness, because it's like it's part of the deal. And so it's like to show her like in all her glory like that, including kind of like, you know, when things can, you know, like the whole thing, I just think that's what makes her so great. And so, yeah, to like, I haven't read The Secret History. So I'm interested in seeing what you're talking about, because I think the show does a good job of balancing that, where it's like, yes, Nadine's funny. She's like loud, blah, blah, blah. But like, if you look past that super thin surface, there's this incredible character that also in the plot has like started a business, had this extremely consistent focus on executing that one goal, make substantial steps forward in that at multiple times in the series. You know, like she invents the runners. They're totally fucking silent.
Yeah.
They are. And then she's a store later. She did it. She is going to be rich.
She isn't like crazy. They wasn't all talk. She really made silent drape runners.
Dude, when she pulls those drape runners, I don't hear a fucking thing.
I don't hear a fucking thing.
Totally silent. Completely silent. Oh man, where do you go from there?
Yeah, but just like back to like 10 minutes ago when we were talking about Ed and Nadine specifically, because I think Nadine clearly loves him. Right? But I don't think Ed loves her at all.
I think he loves her, but it's like he's got some issues.
Yeah, he clearly loves this other woman much more, and it's sad.
I mean, I think he stays with Nadine because he doesn't want to hurt her, I guess. Yeah. But like,
divorce is hard.
Staying with her hurts her more. That's what's kind of crazy. Like, that's the thing about the whole situation, is that like Nadine could handle being dumped. Like, she'd be fine.
Hashtag justice for Nadine.
Yeah. Fucking crazy.
She was the victim.
Oh, she has one of the best plot lines in season 2 as well. Can't wait.
Oh, I hate her in season 2, but we'll cross that road when we get there.
Her and Mike. Mwah.
Oh, I hate it.
Piece de resistance. It's so funny. It's the best bit.
It's creepier than Audrey and Cooper. I don't like it.
Yeah, but if you just purely view it as a comedy bit, it is just the best. It's so funny.
We'll cross that road when we get there.
I don't consider it canon. I mean, that's the best part, is that it's all fucking... It all takes place in our heads, so you can't... Yeah, we'll get there.
If we're going back to, like, chronologically, the last place we left off was Fish in the Percolator, Catherine and Ben.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I think from there we kind of... I mean, you know, they talked to Josie. We sort of skipped forward, I think, anyway. It's like, I think we're... I don't have any other notes here other than sort of like leading up
one
to the
thing
end.
I do want to talk about in this episode and like the pilot that I don't think I touched on is just early on in the show, Mike, as in No Arm Mike, is just chilling, doing stuff in the background, walking around where he's not supposed to be.
Yeah,
and I just wonder, like, why did he go to the morgue?
I was wondering that as well, and I think somebody in the chat may have mentioned why.
Yeah, so I don't know why he went to the morgue. I think he just, wherever the mystery is, he goes. That's my best explanation for it, at least.
Okay, I have found something that I think might refer to whatever comment I'm thinking of. It might be related to the ring.
Oh,
might really be related. Might be him going to see if she has the ring.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a very good explanation.
Right, because this is right afterwards, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, from what I remember of Fire Walk with Me, I don't think she ever gets it taken off after she dies. So it should still be there.
Wait, so when is this? Canonically, is this before
when Mike goes to the morgue, she's only been dead for like a day.
Right. When does that happen? That's in the previous episode? Is that
No, she goes to the morgue in episode 2.
Okay. But that's after. But Cooper and Harry have already done their stop by this point.
Yeah,
So
but like
they would have found the ring.
The ring is probably just in an evidence bag somewhere.
Okay.
That's a satisfying enough explanation.
Yeah, something with the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Some ring shit. Right. So
yeah.
So there's your best. Yeah, probably best guess there.
He's just going around doing errands.
Just doing errands. Yeah. Cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, whew, job's over. Putting in his invoice.
I have more Audrey notes.
More Audrey stuff?
Yeah, I have more Audrey notes here. I totally forgot.
All right, let's get into it. I don't really have much else except that it's really fucked up when they play the rodeo music when Leo has the soap in the sock and is like swinging around his head to hit Shelley.
I did want to say that Leo and Shelley, that like subplot is just like terrifying.
It is.
Because it feels like very real. And also, I think it just kind of sucks to be a woman in Twin Peaks.
It does. And we get to step in and see the abusive dynamic on full display. So it's just everybody looks like a villain, like a complete, and they're just like getting away with everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to say saying that it sucks to be a woman in Twin Peaks is not me saying that like the plot is sexist or anything. Like Lynch is one of the few directors who tortures his female characters for an actual like purpose. I do think just it being a sucky to be a woman in Twin Peaks is just kind of a reflection that it can sometimes be sucky to be a woman in America.
Yeah.
And so the whole Leo Shelley subplot is terrifying, and I don't know why they played the rodeo music.
I think it's just a fucked up joke. Like, I mean, not a joke to make light of it, but a joke of like, this is what, this is how Cavalier Leo is with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's two more things. Actually, three more things I want to talk about in episode 2 before we move on to episode 3. One is Audrey, and how Audrey has kind of like changed since episode 1. Because in episode 1, I think she's just kind of like an asshole, but here, it's just kind of like playful mischief, And I talked earlier about how it would be easier to write her as like a sheltered rich girl. And they do that like a little, but like instead of like just making her an asshole like she was in episode 1, it kind of just reflects in how she does not really expect there to be consequences for any of her actions, which makes her an interesting character to hang out with and see what she's up to at any given time. Right.
Or it's almost like she's ready for consequence. It's almost like she craves consequences. Because she's had none.
Yeah.
It's like, she's like, oh my gosh, my existence sucks.
I believe it's also in episode 2 near the end where Cooper gets to meet the log.
Yep.
Oh man,
has anybody ever asked her? Can I ask her about her log? Many have.
Oh, she's so great. She's great.
She's great.
I don't really know how to explain why the log lady is like such a great character, but
because she's a producer for the show and makes the whole shit happen. That's why. Catherine Coulson is more than just the log lady too. That's so crazy.
Twin Peaks is kind of just like David Lynch being like, let me give my best friends all the good roles of all the nice characters.
Yeah. Very
Catherine Coulson gets to be
obviously
the perfect character, and Jack Nance also gets to be a very nice guy.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Kyle MacLachlan gets to be a very nice guy.
I'm looking at a picture of the log right now, and it's very situated. The two little branches on it are two little arms. They're like two tiny little arms. They're very symmetrical. It's pretty funny. It's a very nice log.
Yeah. It's a very nice log. Well, she has good taste.
Very nice lady. Very nice log. Yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much, it almost does it for this episode, except for the dinner at the end that also kind of makes me want to shoot myself because it's just so sweet and awkward. is James and dinner, or James and Donna dinner.
Yeah.
James randomly comes over for dinner to the Hayward house, where everybody's dressed up for church already, apparently. And it's just so funny. It's so awkward.
Yeah, it's really awkward. That I do have some things I want to say about James. Is like he's a very dull person.
Yeah.
And it was on purpose that he's supposed to be this kind of like stupid, like weird guy.
He's just a good boy.
He's just a good boy. One thing that does strike me about his character is I always forget that like Ed is his guardian because he never like spends time with Ed. Do James and Nadine ever talk in the entire series?
Yeah. Occasionally. I mean, only as much as they need to for the plot, I guess. But like he calls her Aunt Nadine a bunch of times. So it's there's a dynamic there.
Yeah, it's weird because like they're supposed to live together.
I'm unclear in the exact. I think it's just that like he just trusts James and knows that he's a wanderer, and Ed's a light touch. It's like he knows how to let a boy be a boy and not not a he can't contain James.
Yeah, James is just too extreme.
It's too extreme. He's got to ride. He's got to go.
Anyways, I think that does it for episode 2.
Does it for episode 2. Just end the episode with with our red herring Jacoby psych out.
Oh yeah, there's so much Jacoby red herring in like the early episodes.
Yeah, there's a big focus on Jacoby for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, next is episode 3.
Episode 3. This starts with meeting Jer Bear. Uncle Jerry.
And a nice long drawn out opening shot. Family at dinner. I love it. Breakfast, sorry.
The thing is, they do not strike me as a family that has a family breakfast.
They do, apparently.
Yeah, and I don't know why.
Well, I think that's why Ben walks out and is like, always a pleasure, because it's probably something. What's her face is like the mom is like, she's probably like forcing them to do it all, out of kind of because it's something they should be doing as a family, even though they don't connect on any other level.
Yeah, they don't talk like at all, and then Jerry comes in and Ben's like, "Oh my God, my brother brought me a sandwich. This is the best thing that's ever happened."
Yeah, I think they absolutely do have a family dinner every morning, and it's just purely performative.
And Jerry, he's what's his deal?
He's a weirdo. He's a little goober.
He's a weirdo
who is just has attached himself to his brother. I mean, I'm not a big fan of calling people freeloaders. I think a lot of people try their hardest in life, but I think Jerry Horn's pretty close. The brie and butter baguettes look really good, though.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how like seeing actors in different things and immediately thinking of that. I was not too long ago. I was watching this '80s movie called The Warriors, and Jerry is in that.
He's the guy. He's the Warriors guy.
It's so hard to not see him as like Jerry, but like he's just as a like actor. I feel like he's kind of like typecast as a villain, and
he's got that.
We see it in.
Mm-hmm.
He's just kind of like has a slimy like sense about him that like you feel like he's gonna like betray you, rip you off.
Yeah,
he has like snake oil salesman vibes. I guess I would say.
He seems to really like chewing on the character too, so it's good. Warriors is that's a classic, and I guess he was probably known for that for a while before this thing came along, which is. It's funny. Yeah, I didn't see The Warriors till long after Twin Peaks as well.
The thing about Ben in these early episodes is he's, at least up to this point, he's still like being portrayed as like unambiguously like an evil guy. Like he's the evil businessman. He runs all the evil shit. And later on, we get to see that he has like more sides to him, and he is a little bit sympathetic later on. But right now, he's just the worst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. he's pretty centrally in business mode and is pretty much building a little mini sex trade in the town. I mean, he is cycling women through the perfume counter in his department store for hiring at One-Eyed Jacks. So him and Blackie have this like Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell vibe.
Oh yeah.
Which
it's happened.
It makes it harder like later on to feel bad for him, even though they do a lot to make you feel sympathetic towards his life. I want to talk about Ben Morrin a lot in this podcast because I think there's a lot to unpack. I don't think it's meant to be a redemption story as much as it's supposed to be a this is how you sit down and shut up as a powerful person story. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not about Ben Morrin can't really be redeemed. Like, if you really think about what he's doing here, it's like it's irredeemable. Yeah, really, totally. It really is. And there's a similar discussion here to be had about like Leland too. It's like that whole thing. But like, so in Ben's later periods in the show when he's and he's developed more, right? It's like, I mean, it's like at the same time, there's a history behind everything, right? So I think it's like it's more about like, here's a story about a guy, you know, and everybody also has emotions. So it's like, even if you do something irredeemable completely, you know, maybe you don't get redeemed, but it's like, here's a way you can continue to exist without hurting more people. Yeah. You know, and like, and in the sense of Ben being like, quote unquote, a better guy by the end of the show, it's like, I kind of view it as that, you know, it's like, I think Ben's character story is one of the best in the entire show. Yeah, totally. It's so crazy and it's just well told. So I love Ben. Ben's great. He's awesome. Yeah, it's like and whatever the actor's name, I forget. But I forget his name. Should really put a list of actors. I know he's big into transcendental meditation, just like Lynch. They're pretty close because of that. Nice. There's that connection. Bringing his buddies in. Mm-hmm. So the brothers, they go to One-Eyed Jacks. They check out the new girl. I like how when Ben leads Jerry around the corner, this starts his first line of dialogue is, Leland's daughter was murdered and the Norwegians have left. and then Jerry's like, they left? And Leland's daughter was murdered? And did you say Leland's daughter was murdered? And then he tells Jerry he's got a 50-50 shot at trying out the new girl. And then when they get there, Ben ends up being with her. It's just, Jerry. Jerry. Despicable. So, yeah, great scene between Ben and Blackie. And they do the whole One-Eyed Jacks thing. Afterwards, we get to see Leo and Bobby's drug deal go wrong. Wait. Amateur drug deal. I love in this scene, I don't know if it was an intentional piece of humor, just Leo's entrance into it, like where like it's so dramatic. He has like his flashlight. Leo's hilarious. And he's hiding behind the scene. Cash on delivery, like, Bobby. Cash on delivery. He was just waiting there with that locked and loaded. Like I'm thinking, like how long was he standing behind that tree? Like, okay, so I'm gonna turn on the flashlight. First I'm gonna say cash. No. First I'm gonna turn on the flashlight. Then I'm gonna put it up in my face. I'm gonna say, cash on delivery, Bobby. Yeah, and I don't know what they were thinking when they don't have the money to get it. I know. It's like, yeah, I actually feel bad for Leo, kind of in this situation, to be honest. Yeah, this guy's just trying to do some business. He's got these amateurs. I mean, he's an asshole, but in this specific situation, he is the one being wronged. Oh yeah, they're just coming up like oh yeah, we don't have the money. We're gonna have it. We're gonna something.
And like he says, like, oh, Laura was a wild girl. You should have predicted this, which, I don't know. But I know definitely in a lot of situations, Leo sees himself as a victim, even when he's not. So
Yeah.
it is kind of hard for him to see him as a victim when he actually is.
Yeah. You know, there's a line of dialogue that Leo makes here when he's like, he starts intimidating Bobby. He's like, yeah, and you find out your girl's been giving it away. He's like implying that he knows about Bobby and Shelley, and then he says, a man's got to have a clean house. So there's this constant cleaning thing with Leo.
Yeah.
And I think that's gotta go deeper into some themes. I mean, I think it's a character thing for sure, but I think that's gotta be some kind of a more that's gotta be referential to some of the bigger themes, right? It's like maybe Leo's obsession with cleanliness is part of some bigger concept that Lynch has going on in a way.
Mm-hmm. I think Leo is useful as a character for just kind of expanding the characters around him.
Yeah.
Because at this point in the series, we don't really have any reason to feel anything for Bobby. He's cheating on his girlfriend. He's kind of an asshole. But when you compare the Bobby Shelley pairing to the Leo Shelley pairing, is when you kind of start to think, maybe Bobby isn't that bad. Maybe he's just kind of confused teenager.
I mean, but yeah, Bobby's a kid, just like Shelley, right? Any shitty decision Bobby is making is clearly out of the kind of desperation, whereas Leo is established, older, drug dealing sex man who is not a good guy to be with. Yeah.
Yeah,
who actively terrorizes Shelley and
after the drug deal, I do have in my notes that I wouldn't forget this. I would forget this if it wasn't here, but we get both. You stepped on my drape runners, glorious, and also we get to see Invitation to Love for the first time.
Introduction to Invitation to Love. Like how Nadine's she's like, yes, I put them out there. He's like, I'm sorry, they're right in the middle of the floor. She's like, yeah, they were. That's where they need to be.
That's a point.
That's how you make drape runners.
Oh my god.
Ed.
You don't understand me.
God, you're so stupid. You make me sick. Yeah, this is the only scene at which she could maybe viewed as semi-abusive.
Yeah.
She's
Anyways, Invitation to Love.
Yeah.
This is very much it's been discussed. This is strictly a Mark Frost edition.
Okay.
David Lynch hated Invitation to Love, and that's why it never shows up again after season 1.
Oh, that's funny.
Because the Twin Peaks is a soap opera, right? We've discussed this, and then there's also this parody of a soap opera within the soap opera, which is kind of weird, but also I think Invitation to Love is great. I don't know why Lynch hated it so much.
It's a great little bit. I don't understand that either if that's the case, because that seems like exactly the kind of joke that Lynch would love. I don't know.
Funny.
It's
funny. It expands on the themes and ideas of the show.
Yeah.
This is what we were going for, and I think Invitation to Love is great.
Yeah, it's a great little gag. It just adds a lot of texture. It's this is a random reference, but the game Alan Wake.
Yeah.
There's these references, Twin Peaks references in Alan Wake are well documented, but specifically in Alan Wake, they have their own show. They have their own in-world soap opera that gets played on random TVs throughout the game, that's a great reference to not directly reference Twin Peaks, but to just go ahead and have your own in-world soap opera. Pretty funny. And it's called something like Invitation to Love. It's something. It's
yeah. Just to show you how absolutely jam-packed this episode is.
Yeah.
After this, we get some Bobby Shelley stuff, and then after that, we get the rock throwing scene.
Yes.
One of the most iconic scenes in the entire series.
One of the most iconic. Yeah, for sure. the first of them too. Probably it's the first of the big dogs as far as just iconic scenes.
Yeah, it's a very charming moment, and also like tells us a lot about Cooper and like his ideology.
It's just it continues to. It always surprises me how just straightforward this show is in explaining what it is trying to do. It's right from the start. Like this whole scene acts as a meta explanation for how David Lynch tells stories. It's like kind of a map for how they're going to go about future situations. It's completely great.
Yeah. What does make me wonder about the series or the scene is how long did Cooper prepare for this? Because he gets this big blackboard out into the forest, puts a map on it.
All right.
He makes all these plans.
So he's probably got this. He's probably been working. He probably pulled an all-nighter. He looks a little tired. He's going for the coffee quite a lot. It's early. So, I mean, he probably got the chalkboard from the station, right? He probably got in early, had Lucy help him prepare stuff. Maybe Andy bring the chalkboard out. He probably had this Tibet map already.
Maybe. I could imagine a little.
Yeah,
Andy,
I imagine he already had that.
I need you to go to the Twin Peaks library and bring me a map of Tibet.
Draw a red line around the territory. Yeah, the scene's great. There's just a lot of good little directorial moments, like when he flips over the board to Tibet and they all kind of lean in,
I love that shot. It's just like
they're like, all right.
What the
the trust is so good. Yeah, and then they do the name thing and it's all good stuff. It also acts as kind of a recap of the show so far.
I never really thought about it like that, but yeah, it does.
It's very functional. It flashes to pictures of the people's faces.
That's very interesting. The one thing that this scene does that I don't like is the whole hitting the Jacoby bottle but it not breaking, and it's like, how much are you gonna expand the Jacoby red herring? I think just this was enough. You don't need to keep going. And like when it's not him, like even remotely, it's just kind of frustrating.
I like how convoluted that part is. It's like it struck it, did not break.
Lucy, remove One-Eyed Jacks from the list.
I mean, to be fair, that man's personality is a red herring.
Yeah. I do like the little moment where he throws the rock at Andy, and Lucy's very concerned. I will say,
hit. He's like, I'm okay. And then Harry with the zinger, he's like, where there's no sense, there's no feeling, right, Andy? Fucking savage.
Out of all the million couples in Twin Peaks, I think Andy and Lucy might be my favorite. Mm-hmm. I think just because I love Lucy as a character, she's so great.
Yeah.
They're an adorable couple. I love their little plots together and how she's the only one there concerned for him getting hit in the head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So okay, so I just want to, when she wrote Jay, or when Laura wrote Jay in her diary, it was referring to Jacques Renault, right?
Meeting with Jay tonight. I guess so.
Because the bottle breaks for Leo Johnson.
Yes. It's not a direct connection to the J.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's common throughout the show, too. We get those shifts of, it's like the thing leads them to the correct answer, but it's like that answer wasn't the original answer to that thing,
the bottle breaks for Leo Johnson, even though he's not, the specific one, but that sets them down the path of discovering what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Not much else to talk about with the scene, I guess, except that it's incredible and that it's incredible.
It's great.
It's just played super well by everybody involved and serves a very key, just a key milestone in the story, I guess. Yeah, it really does that recap thing clearly, and then it sets us off in this Leo Johnson adventure, which sort of continues.
But we'll pick up that topic in episode 3. Join us for the continued discussion in episode 3 of Above the Convenience Store.